welcome to the Orange Brain Cell podcast. After what felt like a forever break in many series, it's finally race week again. I'm Nicole.
I'm Aries.
I'm Austin. And we said we would sometimes talk about hockey, and Acura/Honda, because they did incorporate IndyCar into this as well, gave us an opportunity to where we can talk about racing and hockey. And that's because for Long Beach, they did a bunch of promo in the area with a bunch of the different sports teams, and then like the fire trucks and everything, including the Anaheim Ducks. And Colin Braun took a chrome gold car and drove it on the ice during in between periods at the Ducks game, and they all got jerseys as well. So he got like a 60 jersey, which was cool. It was great to see like our interest collide.
I like when race car boys go to hockey games, because like Seb Bourdais went to a hockey game earlier this year.
Yeah, but it was with the Lightning, and we don't like the Lightning.
I know, but like, why do the Lightning keep on doing all these collabs with race cars? Because like Nolan Allard did that thing at St. Pete.
They did it with NASCAR too.
Yeah, how about they like stop doing that? Because I don't like. Why are they the race cars team?
I got it for like St. Pete, but like, okay, then the Florida Panthers need to get on it for like Miami.
Yeah.
Like, multiple hockey teams are missing out on the opportunity.
Yes, because I think that it's a fun collab thing. There was a whole like section of at one point when I was listening to really old episodes of Off Track where they were like at hockey games and talking about hockey and lots of hockey stuff going on. Like it was in like 2020 or 2019. It couldn't have been 2020. I don't think there was hockey in 2020. But like 2019 maybe.
The bubble.
Yeah, but I don't think that they just let race car drivers into the bubble.
No.
So I promise we're a racing podcast. We're just gonna talk about hockey for a minute.
We really like hockey. And, you know, as a Canadian, I have to fit into the stereotype, okay? Also, we're fitting the joke that we have of comparing ourselves to Off Track.
Yes.
As a South American, I have to pipe up. I cannot associate, the name Long Beach and hockey within the same sentence, because I think of beach, I think of warm, and I think of warm weather, and I do not associate it with anything ice related at all.
You know they play hockey inside, Aries.
Yeah.
I know.
I don't know, though. They're trying to make, like, the outdoor games in the NHL this year in Florida.
How's that gonna work?
I don't know.
Good question.
First off, I think the outdoor games are kind of dumb. But, like, how are they gonna do that in Florida?
When they announced that, like, the next ones are going to be in Florida, I was like, you sure about that? Because, like, the games they play in the Northeast, when it's actually cold outside, the ice has issues with, like, melting too quickly. How are you going to stop that from happening in Florida?
Really
and it's like
aggressive sub-ice cooling technology.
But it's like not even in the Panhandle where it snows.
Blizzard.
It's like
Blizzard.
It's in Tampa and like Miami.
Just saying. The last blizzard that I was in Florida. So
yes, but the Panhandle.
Yes, but still Florida.
But the Panhandle. It actually sometimes snows in the Panhandle.
But where? There was a lot of snow. I needed to go trekking through the snow so that I could get to the stupid autograph session at Daytona in time. Hey, we've actually given me a way to seg into the next thing in the notes.
What?
That was the greatest, actually. That we somehow roundabout got to me just not being like so unrelated. Because yes, I did trek to the autograph session, and yes, Kevin was at the autograph session.
Wow.
And we had a battle of the French last week on Twitter and Instagram, and Kevin won unanimously, and By that, I don't mean he won 100% of the vote. I just mean that he won on Twitter and Instagram. Because
Yes.
Dana voted against him on all platforms multiple times because she has an anti-Kevin agenda.
Bad Dana. But also, right now, we're doing the Battle of the Danes. Not Dane Cameron, but
Sorry,
the
Dane.
Danish.
These ones.
Yes, those ones.
This one. He won too.
Yes, he did.
We are most of the way through day one. I've got like another one to post. The final one, competition number 8, in 8 minutes. I will be posting that one. But yes, it was like a March Madness style bracket where I went through and ranked in order the French people that I've met that are race car drivers.
And I went through and ranked Danish drivers just based off the order I like them.
Vibes.
Yeah. I definitely
Kevin
upset
was
some
the
people.
1 seed, so good job, Kevin, for winning from the 1 seed. It came down to the 1 seed versus the 2 seed. It came down to Kevin Estre versus Seb Bourdais, which, like, as it should have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still
I won't
really
reveal
upset.
the rankings of the Danish drivers until next episode.
I was really sad that Matthew Jemine had to see himself lose because
Yes, that was
don't
very
remind me.
depressing.
He's
So sad.
Liked the tweet where he was, in his battle and then he lost.
Yes.
That was kind of sad.
And so many people were like quote tweeting it too. And then there was somebody who quote tweeted it saying they just didn't know who Jam was. And I was like, let me give you all the things you need to know about Jam.
Yeah, you
I will
did like
educate.
Matthew
I was like-
Jemine education campaign.
Yeah, I will be educating. You
Yeah, I
are
saw that.
required to know who he is.
Oh yes, there was a European Le Mans series this week. First round of that. It was geo-blocked in the US.
Was it though? Because they
the
said
race,
it was,
the
but
race
then it wasn't.
was. I had. Did you watch the race though? Because
I was
to
at
use
work
a VPN.
during it.
Yeah, no, I had to use a VPN for the race.
Okay, so then it was
'Cause
just the race, which is weird.
AO said to use a VPN so that we could watch Spike. And that's the kind of chaos I expect from AO Racing.
Oh, yeah.
Love that from
It's
them
peak.
and for them.
PKO
So, yes.
moment.
I just don't get why literally everything else was available to the US audience, and they specifically chose just the race to geoblock.
Because they want us to use that new racer channel, but like, I have that. That is part of my big sports bundle on YouTube TV, and I didn't see the race listed on the new racer channel. So,
Yeah.
I think
yeah, the race itself was, because I had to watch it on my phone and it was early o'clock in the morning, I did in fact not watch the entire thing, but I did watch like the last hour and a bit, and it was quite exciting. Good job, Matt Vaccine, for coming from like way back and getting the overall win. Our listeners should know who Matt Vaccine is by this point.
No.
Well, they should.
Vaxivier, not vaccine.
Yeah, but I still like the fact that somebody said Matt Vaccine in a comment once. So he is Matt Vaccine.
I just think it's funny. So he came off of doing his Alpine test, which did not see that coming. Thought he was completely
He's
just
still their reserve driver, is what the Elms broadcast was saying.
Which I don't remember Alpine ever saying that.
Me either.
So I thought they had cut ties. And then all of a sudden I see Matt Vaxivier just posting that he's driving the Alpine. And I'm like, I almost said Matt Vaccine. And then I was like, what the hell is going on here? Apparently they just never announced that he was the reserve driver. And that makes more sense. But he went from testing his Alpine to, getting an overall win. And I like that.
Woohoo!
And I mean, honestly, when they have the pros in the Pro-Am. Like, when the pros are in, there is no difference. It's not like you're talking
No.
about an LMP2 car versus an LMP3 car. If you have a pro in for their stint in Pro-Am, it is the exact same as normal LMP2.
Yes.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's no surprise that a literal, like, hypercar driver was able to do this. Like, just
Yeah.
because it was a Pro-Am car doesn't mean that they still don't have, like, super top-level drivers.
Yes.
It's when the same energy when GTD normal gets ahead of GTD Pro and IMSA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But it's just like, I feel like people discount that. They're like, oh, this guy's not in WEC anymore, so he can't be that good. And it's like, shush.
So,
Exactly.
Aries, did you
Shush them.
watch the broadcast on the YouTube stream? Or did you
Actually,
watch a different stream?
I was out for the majority of this, so I only caught tidbits of it. But if I were home and I watched it, I would have watched it on the ELMS channel. But there is a
So-
Brazilian channel that broadcasts the race as well. So
That's
I
what I
have
wasn't
multiple
sure
choices.
about. Nice. Lucky for you. But they actually called. I was wondering whether anybody else saw this, but I think it was probably only me. They called the non-Pro-Am LMP2 normal. And I'm like, that is fantastic.
That's great. That's
Wait,
amazing.
You used the VPN and you saw the Brazilian transmission?
No. The Elms channel one.
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
watching the French one for a minute because it was the only channel I could get to load. I don't understand French well enough to watch a racing broadcast in French. I'm like level 7 on Duolingo, so I cannot watch a race broadcast yet. I also, spoiler alert for like 15 minutes from now into the episode, do not know enough French to understand what people are saying in films in French and need to use the little subtitles.
I was like 100% expecting you to like text me and be like, translate this.
No, because I had subtitles on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they have
My
they had
YouTube has
these.
subtitles. And
Yeah, but I was waiting for it.
I didn't need it translated because YouTube did that for me. It
Well,
was
good.
fantastic.
Because I was like getting off work and I was like, I'm not gonna be able to provide Nick with these Google.
I need to go learn my swear word though. Thanks, Kevin. You're gonna teach me a swear word.
I mean, that's where you start. The fact I haven't taught you guys French swear words, I should have gone on that.
Yep, Kevin beat you to it. Because
Well,
they
I'll
don't
teach you
beep
more.
him out because it's not
No.
in English.
Yeah.
We have notes. We need to follow our notes. We can talk about Kevin and his French later.
Okay.
Because Kevin was not in Elms.
Drinking game.
Kevin should do Elms. Kevin, do Elms.
If Tom Blomqvist does it, you can do it.
If there's any benefit to Kevin doing Elms, is there?
I'm just saying, if the MSR boys can do it, he can
Okay,
do
but
it.
they're IMSA drivers. Elms is like a WEC support series. He's a reigning WEC champion in hypercar.
I
There
feel like
is
that's
no
even more
reason.
reason. No, I feel like that's even more reason to do it just for the laughs.
Like Genesis does not have their on-contract reigning WEC champion.
Well,
in
maybe they
hypercar.
should.
They should. I 100% believe that
They
they.
should.
I mean, they like almost won the race, and I'm 100% certain that if Andre had been in that car, they would have won the race.
I'm
so
just saying,
maybe
they
they
should.
just. Andre was like watching tennis. He wasn't even watching
No.
his Lamar car do race cars. He was watching tennis with like Formula E drivers.
Yeah, Norman Nato.
Wasn't Stoffel there too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, Andre. Man, his gap year looks so fun. Like,
But also, that's nothing new. Like, he hangs out with the FE boys
know.
so much.
I know. But he just seems like he's having a lot of fun on his gap year. He is just doing ridiculous things.
Yeah.
As he should.
Speaking of Andre and Genesis / EDEC, do we want to do what we did in one of our group chats and try and guess the lineups for next year? Because see, in the notes, I say, do we want to accidentally call Andre fat? I'm not trying to call Andre fat. He's not fat. He is just a larger human being than some of the people that Genesis has driving this LMP2 machine.
But just when you sent it, the way that it was phrased.
Yes, the way that I accidentally phrased it in the group chat. See, this is why he never replied to us about if he's going to be at Miami. He knew. He had, like, spidey senses that we were, weeks later, accidentally going to call him fat.
Not we, you.
We, the podcast.
It was you. Don't group us into this. We did not call Andre fat.
I am not calling Andre fat. I'm saying that Andre is a bigger human than Jamie Chadwick.
As he should be.
Yeah, one would expect that.
You know?
So, like, average weight, if the two of them share a hypercar, is going to be worse than, like, the issue that Matt and Kevin have.
I was gonna say, worse than the 6.
Yes, like, lots worse than the 6.
Or the 5.
Or the 5, yes.
The 5
well, no,
too.
Julian Andlauer is almost the same size as Jamie Chadwick.
Exactly.
So, like,
True.
it'll be similar. Like, Matt at least is, like, taller and probably weighs more than Jamie and Julian.
Yeah, I'm just saying the 5 and the 6 both have the issue of...
Yes, they do.
This
Which
problem.
is why PPM should give me Pink Pig LMDH and move Michael.
That makes no sense.
It makes sense when they go back to 3-man lineups next year. Just give it to me.
I mean, I'll take 2018.
The drinking game is so bad today already.
I'm drunk.
All we've done is got distracted with PPM stuff. Oh gosh. Yes, where even are we? Double Porsche podium!
I was about to say, we didn't even get to the actual Porsches we're supposed to be talking about.
Yeah, the Porsches we're supposed to talk about. The Iron Dames won in LMGT3 and Proton, featuring friend of the show, Alessio Piccarello, came in P3.
Yes, bestie.
Yes, I don't know that he knows he's a friend of the show. Has he ever acknowledged being a friend of the show, or did we just, like, get Lauren to force him to be part of an interview?
I mean, he's liked our stuff. I don't know if he's liked any of the pod stuff.
I don't know. Ooh, we should do a Belgian bracket afterwards.
We've already decided we were doing British, then Oceania, then we can do Belgium.
We can do Belgium. I've got like 3 Belgian drivers that I can think of. So
I was gonna say, I think we're gonna think of the same 3.
I was about to ask, how many Belgians can we think of?
Dries, Larry, and Alessio.
But
Sarah Bovey.
Yes.
4. We can do a bracket because that is an even number.
Yeah.
Dries versus Larry. Alessio versus Sarah.
Yeah, but it depends on if we're counting people that are halvesies. Like,
no, we're not counting halvesies, because then we could start throwing in super random people like Max and Lando and Andre.
Isn't Lance
I'm just saying, we did halvesies for Denmark, so... and France.
No, everybody who I put in the French bracket races as a French driver. Currently, yes they do.
Jules,
so go on the WEC website. He's racing as French this year, or at least is on the WEC website, because I checked that before I included him.
I was gonna say, I did tell you that
he's
on the
not
website
this year.
He's listed as French, but this is where it gets weird, because like, on the IMSA website last year, it had Roman Grosjean listed as Swiss, but he raced French.
Yeah, so I mean, like, who knows what they're doing? Yeah. I'm going by the WEC website, so...
This is so confusing. Honestly, they should just pick one and race under that for the rest of their lives. Otherwise, it
Be
sends me
confusing.
like
You could be Tom Blomqvist and have so many flags. You could just keep switching.
Yeah, he's gonna be in the British one, not the Oceania one.
Raffaele
Why not
Marciello,
both?
like he raced under the Italian flag for ages and ages, and then I think he switched to Switzerland only a couple years ago. I was like, why now?
Yeah.
Because why not?
Not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yes, good job, Porsche GT3 cars. Yay.
Yes.
I'm gonna say it was a good ending to finally something good happening to the Iron Dames.
Yes. It was very nice. But there was one team that continues to do one of their drivers dirty.
Yeah.
And that's APR.
Oh no.
And specifically Alex Quinn. It's only him because he's done a race where they just didn't have a race suit for him yet. So they made him use one of his teammates, so he didn't have his name on his race suit. This race, in every graphic they posted for the car, they misspelled his name and left an N off of it. You would think a guy who's, like, been with the team for a decent amount of time, they would, like, know how to spell his name. They apparently don't.
Yeah, that was funny when you sent that to me, because I hadn't seen that. When you sent that to me, I was like, wow, that's, bad.
It was every time they did, like, the car's in this place right now, it was misspelled every single time. Like, not even like, oops, the first one we misspelled it. Every single time.
Now comes we gave this honor to Aries because we didn't think we wanted to talk about it, and then we ended up having a billion notes.
Yes. It's film reveal time. And this time, I was part of it for once. You know, the WEC is finally releasing their full access video series thingy. I missed that. I forgot how intense it could be. Well, it's perfect. I need me more of that. Do 2 episodes per race, please. Anyway, it was the things I took more note of. After Hyperpole, we had Sean Galale. Actually, one of the very few moments when we had LMGT3 stuff being featured. It felt like the class didn't even race there with how little they showed. He was congratulating Antonio Giovinazzi. He was literally saying, "Oh, I wanted you to take pole position because I wanted us to be in the same picture together." I was like, "Why? Why? So you can say you're both fast because you have long hair or something?" Because that's what they have. That's what I thought.
That's great.
Something I know my 2 fellow co-hosts did not like was seeing the hyperpole shot when we had one of the Toyota cars leaving the pits, and it showed the 2 963s stuck in the garage, not going anywhere because they were knocked out. I thought, someone is in pain watching this. Not good memories for some people. And
damn, Aries, you are just burning the listeners.
Yeah, burning the listeners, burning the followers.
Yeah.
What can I say? Blame
the people
the team.
that interact with our content on social media, you're just burning them.
You're burning them.
It's not their fault the car was bad. They did what they could do. It isn't.
Yeah.
No, I'm agreeing. It's not their fault at all.
Although, I don't know, Michael Christensen made it seem otherwise.
I am complimenting their abilities. And also we had the bonus of some of them were not speaking English. Thank you, YouTube, for the subtitles. Otherwise I would have not understood the amount of French that I had to endure, right?
Yes, there was lots of French. Do you want me to go into my French segment right now? Because I can do that. So I went through and I analyzed all the French that was in here and who speaks French.
You also spelled it wrong.
Oh yeah, I typed French. Fronch, because I like to mock the French with
very upsetting
saying of France and not France or France.
Thanks, Giffen.
Incorrect.
Yes, So Kevin Estra and Lawrence Vantor were speaking a lot of French to each other. And I thought that was interesting because when Larry and Dries were talking, they were speaking English. So, like, does Dries not speak French or, like, not know French?
I feel like he has to know French.
He has to know French, but like, why does Larry speak to Kevin in French and doesn't speak to his own brother in French?
I don't know.
Kevin knows English. It's not like Kevin doesn't speak English.
Yeah, but it's also, it's a lot easier to speak in your native language than to, like, speak in your, like, other language.
So why are Larry and Dries not speaking in their native language?
I don't know, but that's the only reason I can give for Kevin specifically.
No, I understand. I understand why Kevin and Larry are speaking French, but I don't understand why Larry and Dries aren't speaking French.
No, Kevin and Larry are doing it to exclude their teammate.
Who was not in the film at all.
Not in the film at all.
Like, Matt Campbell did not exist, apparently.
If I hadn't have watched the race, wouldn't have thought Matt Campbell was in the car.
Yeah. And then let's see, who else do we have? Julian Enlauer did not speak French when he was talking to Michael Christensen and Matthew Gemini, I guess to not leave Michael out.
I was gonna assume not to leave Michael out, but maybe he should have left Michael out so that he didn't get roasted by Michael.
Michael roasted him so hard.
Jam just stayed completely silent.
Norman Nato, did not speak French when he was talking to the non-French people, but had a 5-minute conversation that included them being commentators with Seb Bourdais. Yes. They had video of cars playing over them talking, and it was just in French. Like I said, Dries didn't speak any French. Seb Buemi didn't speak French. Julian Enlauer spoke French later on with the Michelin guy. That was another really long French conversation. Yeah. Duval spoke a bunch of French. And
as expected.
Yes. As I mentioned earlier, Kevin swore in French, so I need to learn how to swear in French because apparently YouTube wants me to know how to say the F word in French. Cool. Thanks, Kevin. And let's see. Unrelated to French.
Oh,
Morgan.
God.
Earl's helmet is very featured in this. So watch it so you can do your little cross-stitch thing for Coda. And that is my summary of French in this film.
Lots of French.
Beautiful.
Clapping noises. One thing that caught my attention was it's not like K-Mag has not been racing in a world championship for ages, because before the race started, he was talking to Marcello about probably something about being there for the pre-race procedures. He was completely clueless. He was like, "Do we need to be here?" And Marcello was just like, it's just the anthem. Otherwise, you can go. But didn't he do the start?
Yeah.
Yes.
But also, that wasn't the only person weird interaction in regards to K-Mag. Jensen Button and Seb Bourdais were in the garage just talking about how they think he's gonna do with the start.
Yeah. I mean, a whole bunch of F1 drivers there. Former F1 drivers.
Maybe I just was this is fitting.
Yeah.
And then further down the line, we had Phil Hansen, yellow Ferrari guy. The way he mentioned the Jota cars, he was sort of foreshadowing the impending disaster. I was like, you didn't just say this. And then they when he got close to that moment, and they were showing the timestamps as if it was a sort of I don't know, action film or something. I was like, oh my god, this really happened, didn't it? And then they actually show that, and I was cringing. I thought, this did not happen. It's been over a month, and I still can't believe they did this.
The Cadillac luck was not Ganassi luck. It was Cadillac luck, obviously, since it has carried over to this season.
Maybe don't brake check your teammate.
Yeah,
maybe
Jensen,
keep your distance.
You're too experienced for that.
Exactly. Maybe keep your distance, especially if the car in front is your teammate. Please.
Lex did nothing wrong. Like,
I will
Jensen
stand
was
up for
accelerating
him.
for the start and then decided to come to almost a complete stop. That's not how you take a restart. Like, there's absolutely no way Alex could have known that was gonna happen.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
that was not on Alex. Sorry, but it wasn't.
Yeah, well, it did feel messy, extremely messy. And
Yes.
if we're gonna talk about some stuff that's messy later in the film, they were showing the 51 Ferrari coming up to overtake the number 5 Porsche, and then going off around the outside, running out of room, going off the track, and then bouncing in the gravel. And one of the Ferrari engineers was he he summed up all of the Ferrari fans at the moment, because we were tired of the 51's antics. We were like, "You're not helping your case here, mate. I'm just gonna say this." Because the language he used was a bit more colorful, just a bit. And then something I also liked, and which surprised me, because we had Portuguese being spoken, was Rubens Barrichello being a proud father. Because, his son Eduardo made his debut there, and he was just, there for moral support. And I was like, this warms my heart. Hopefully, he has a better result next time. And
Yeah,
then,
I was a little over all of the Schumacher Barrichello stuff that race weekend that was being posted.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, let the guys be themselves, like Mick has done so much work to like be himself, and I'm
Yes.
sure that the younger Barrichello also would like to exist on his own as a racing driver and not
Yes.
be Rubens Barrichello's son. Or worse, not be Michael Schumacher's teammate's son,
Yes.
which is what they were kind of forcing him to be.
Yeah, it was honestly why, like, I was kind of happy for this Full Access episode. I was expecting that to, like, be part of it, and they, like, didn't show Alpine at all.
At all.
But, like, upset that there was no Alpine, but happy that it didn't become just talking about Mick and being Michael Schumacher's kid. So,
because it's not Drive to Survive.
exactly.
Like,
Probably.
this is an actual race weekend documentary and not... Like, there's definitely some editing in there to dramatize it, but it's...
Oh, yes.
It's not, taking something from another race weekend and cutting it in to cause drama. It's all within the race weekend.
I was just expecting it to be like in this because of how
Me
much
too.
they talked about it like on social media during the race weekend, that I was like, they're gonna find a way to throw this into Full Access, and I was happy that they didn't.
Same.
Yeah, you mentioned it. I actually forgot that they did a lot of promotion around that fact. For some reason, I didn't remember. But yes, good move. We were on about who spoke French earlier, and Loic Duval was mentioned. Well, the part in which he spoke French was after they showed a very, very fierce battle between him and one of the PPM cars, and well, it was fierce. It was, according to the Peugeot engineer, it was manly, but it was beautiful. That is a sentence and a half. And later on, close to the end of the actual race, we thought it was going to descend into Ferrari civil war. At least our group chat, plural, all were discussing this. Back then during the race, we're all like, oh, they're gonna run each other off the road here, and Ferrari are gonna lose this, because the team was telling Robert Kubica, who was leading, that the Toyotas were closing in, and that they wanted him to swap with one of the actual factory entered red cars so that the red car could take the win. And I have no idea what they had in mind. Maybe the manufacturer's title or something, but Kubica was having none of it. He was like, give me one valid reason, and that's not a valid reason.
I mean, Phil Hansen wasn't either. Like, he was actively questioning the guy, being like, the gap that you're mentioning doesn't seem to be like an issue. Like
we
it's
can go
steadying
faster.
out. Like, we could go quicker. Like, even
liked
he
how
was questioning
The
it.
guy Phil Hansen was talking to had like a notebook
Yeah.
and was like
Yeah.
obviously writing down gaps because he's like flipping through pages. I'm
Yeah.
like, is this how we're like keeping track of our competitors in the World Endurance
Yeah.
Championship? Because I thought it was a little more computerized than that.
I thought so too, but I just like how Phil Hansen was like, "You're wrong.
Yeah,
I don't care what your book says. You're incorrect."
I don't care what your book says.
And in LMGT3, obviously we had a fantastic battle for the win, which Corvette won. Woohoo! And Danny Hunkadea, we were gonna talk about iRacing later on, but he also credited iRacing with being able to keep his opposition behind him. He was like, "Oh yeah, I've done that before in iRacing. I've practiced it there, and that it's, I don't know, it's what helped me to win here." But I guess, I don't know, iRacing works.
Yes.
I
I mean,
guess.
obviously, it does. My
Yeah.
favorite thing, though, was, like, cutting to the TF Sport Garage, and there's just the one guy, like, screaming out of pure joy. And I was like,
Yes.
that was me. I am that guy.
Yes.
Yes, I'm that guy. I can relate to that, especially after a good on track battle, which is what we all kind of like to see.
Yes.
And the final thing of note I have to add is a sad one because, the Vantor brothers were like, "Oh, hey, I think it was Dries who said, like, what did your car do?" And then Larry was like, "Nothing special." And I was like, "Oh my god."
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Poor
fitting
Larry.
for every time I've met Larry, and he just doesn't seem happy. He always seems depressed about the car.
Which is funny because the 2 times you've met him, he's won the race.
Exactly.
Like, you met him at Daytona and you met him at Sebring, and he won those races.
Yes,
Like,
and he still seemed very depressed about the car.
yeah,
But
I'm not overly thrilled with the 963 as a product this year. I need it to lock in a little more.
I needed to not have issues like every free practice.
Yeah, that too.
You know? I'd appreciate that.
Lock in, car. Lock in.
Yeah.
I love how you
And
I love how you
get some
how you
good
tell the car.
BOP for Imola.
I love how you tell the car to lock in after it's won the 36 Hours of Florida.
Yes, but the wrong one won
Yeah.
the 36 Hours
brown
of
one.
Florida.
The brown one.
The one with the white fin needs
Yeah.
to lock
Yes.
in.
Yes.
So that's one specific 963, not all of them.
Yeah. No, not all the 963.
No,
Hold on,
not
I've got
all
them
the
here.
963s.
I've got
Just
them here somewhere. Here they are. Yes. Lock in.
yeah.
There they are. Not you guys. You're nice and locked in. Car. Lock in.
Lock in.
I
Please.
don't have a picture. Wait, yes I do.
I was gonna say, you literally do.
Lock in.
Yeah. Lock in. White Fin 963.
Lock in Whitefin 963 in both series.
Yes. Both series.
Please.
Although I don't hate the 5.
And
No.
I absolutely don't hate the 7.
We know.
We know that.
Can't wait
I
for Long
mean-
Beach. Bring on Long Beach.
Yeah. Well, back to the film.
Was that drinking game or was that relevant?
Back to the film and non-depressed 963 drivers. Ben, like, Lexus was telling him on the pit that they wanted to three-stint him as a possibility if there was to be a flag. And he was like, I would totally do that. So apparently, he really wants 3 stints.
We have discussed before that Ben Barnicoat is crazy. So
Yes.
I'm not shocked.
But we now have evidence that the man just, if you don't even have to ask, he'll just be like, I will do it.
I will drive car.
I will drive car. 3 stint, I've got it.
Yep.
No problem there. But this film did remind me about, the Aston and the stupid door.
Fact that they're racing a road car.
Yeah,
and
they
it's got road car doors.
doors, which they actively called out the fact that maybe they should have changed the doors.
Road car doors are cool on road cars. Maybe don't put road car doors on your race car.
Yeah, please. Aston.
Fix it.
Fix it. Because it was
Maybe
something I noticed at IMSA too. I was like, you're really just waiting for this to happen again.
Yeah, and the door will fly off and be
Maybe
dramatic.
they did. I don't think it fell. It got yeeted when they were in Sebring.
It didn't get
it
yeeted.
didn't open.
Because it didn't open, but I saw the car in the garage with the doors, and it definitely was not changed. They are still the doors that stay up like that. So they definitely haven't changed it. They definitely should change it so they don't lose another door, although they did like talking about the fact that they were getting purple sectors, so they found that very amusing, it seemed like.
They did.
And then, despite Cadillac on Cadillac crime, before the Cadillac and Cadillac crime, Cadillac had jokes. Will Stevens was joking about the fact when they let the cameras into the driver's lounge, he went and opened the door again, pointed at the sign that clearly said drivers. It was and cameras. He had to get his jokes in. One thing though, Ferrari does not say Porsche correctly. They need to fix that. I feel like they should be called out for the fact that they don't say it correctly.
Lawrence Vantor doesn't say Porsche correctly either.
That he doesn't, and he should also be called out for that as well.
He drives for Porsche. He should know how to say Porsche.
Yes.
I will say that, unless you say it really slow, when you're saying the full team name, you end up saying Porsche wrong. So, but he says Porsche separate from saying Porsche Penske, because it is easier to say, blend the end of Porsche into Penske and say, almost Porsche Penske. It's what I just did when I said it. But he just says Porsche all the time, which is wrong, Larry.
It's very wrong, and in this case...
we can get Ari to tell Larry that he says Porsche.
Oh, yes, we can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ari, you have a mission.
Yes. But, this Ferrari guy only said Porsche. It wasn't Porsche Penske. It was just Porsche. Yeah. And I, cringe. Just like I cringe every time Larry says it, too.
Yeah. This is why I just say PPM. Because then nobody can criticize if I'm strangely blending Porsche and Penske into one word. The listeners are very drunk at this point, or very hydrated if they're playing the water drinking game.
Maybe they should play the water version and not the other version.
Yes.
Or very caffeinated if they're doing Red Bull or coffee.
Play a Red Bull drinking game.
They're gonna be crawling on the ceiling.
Alex Rossi said on Off Track that Pato refuses to do sim work because it messes with his head. What? You're supposed to be the number one driver for this team, the guy that presumably would be developing the car, and you're refusing to do sim work because you don't like the way that the sim works?
Well, I was gonna say, this makes more sense for why at Thermal the car was tailored around Christian.
Right, because it seemed like they were also sort of praising Christian Lundgaard's ability in a sim based on other sim conversations that they had. But, if Pato does want to go to F1, he understands that F1 is entirely sim-based, right? They have zero, because obviously IndyCar has lots of testing in the real car. F1 has zero testing outside of, that preseason test in the real car. You either do TPC stuff or you do sim work. So, how is Pato gonna be an F1 driver without doing sim work? And with being a guy who says, I can't do sim work. I'm refusing to do sim work. I'm hoping that Rossi was exaggerating. And then it's just oh yeah, Pato's grumpy about the sim. but that's not what he said.
Yeah. I also feel like McLaren would know that because, one, he's their reserve driver, but also the teams are very much so linked. So, like, they're going to know that he doesn't do sim work in IndyCar.
It unfortunately supports this whole new persona that Pato is cultivating for himself, of being a diva and being like, the Pato the commercials about would refuse to do sim work. The Pato that earned himself this number one driver at Arrow McLaren and earned himself the reserve driver for Formula One for McLaren doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would refuse to do something for the team. So, I mean, it makes me question a lot of stuff about.
Yeah, I feel like he's done like a 180, it feels like.
Yeah, and it's making it hard to support him, man. It really is. Like, he's somebody I've supported since he was in Lights, and it's just something's different about him this year.
Yeah, I think we've at least talked about it, of like, Pato was my number one driver, and now I don't even know if he's my number one McLaren, like, era McLaren
Yeah.
driver.
Yeah, no, he was definitely somebody, like I said, I've supported for a very long time. It's weird. It is really weird. And then there's been rumors online just from, I'd say, mid-level IndyCar media. So, like, the actual big names, like Nathan Brown's not reporting it, but that V10s are being teased, like, because obviously they've said there's gonna be a new car in the next few years. And all of a sudden everyone's talking about V10. I think it's just people upset that V10s got tabled for F1, and they're like, well, if not F1, why not IndyCar?
Yeah, it makes no sense with, like, the direction it feels like IndyCar has, like, outlined that they're going.
Yeah. Guys, if you want massive engines that sound amazing, might I introduce you to WEC and IMSA?
Yes.
And the Aston Martin Valkyrie,
which
has a
so good.
V12 engine.
Exactly.
It sounds so
guys,
good.
go listen to that and stop trying to, impose your failed Formula One ideas on every other series. Like that. I am someone who came up in the V10 era of F1. I miss it. Every time I go to an F1 race, I say this is pathetic compared to the first race I went to. Like, first several races I went to. But that time is gone. People are not making large displacement engines anymore. And for whatever reason they're not, but like it's not happening. Just let it go.
You summed up my thoughts. Exactly. Like, it's not just the noise that makes the sport what it is. That's what I think, at least. Obviously, I've never been to a race, and I see a lot of people talking about, oh, noise, noise, noise. Is it just about that, though, that makes a sport, a racing series, interesting? I don't think so, because sure, I see a lot of people going, "Oh yeah, I miss that time," but I also remember see people saying, "Oh yeah, but that time we barely had any on track racing because everybody just did the strategy in the pit lane and whatever, and because refueling was allowed back then, and yada yada yada." Like, people, I've said this before, people will always find something to complain. So I don't know. There's some random bouts of nostalgia to me just don't make a lot of sense.
I'll say, like, for somebody like who's been to races and like went to Sebring, which was like the first race in IMSA that the Valkyrie was in, like, people definitely were spending way more time around the Heart of Racing garage just to be able to hear the Valkyrie. Like, the talk of that weekend was that car, and like, that's not like the only thing, but I will say, like, the noise of that car and like being able to hear the Valkyrie was definitely cool. And like, you didn't see the car coming, but you heard the car coming. Like, it's definitely a nice bonus.
So, I mean, like, there is some, I guess, sensory aspect to racing, but yeah, I mean, I will take competitive on-track action over cool-sounding cars every day of the week.
Exactly. The cool sounding cars is just a nice bonus.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I feel like every time we talk about NASCAR, somehow lawsuits get mentioned. It just has become the talking point of NASCAR. And this week we have not one, but 2 lawsuits. Um, because Legacy is suing Rickware Racing over not upholding a charter. It seems like we don't really have much details behind it, but that was the first one that was announced. And then the second one is definitely the one that took over social media. And not just social media, but even the broadcast. Like during the race, they were actively talking about this lawsuit. And that is that Lamar Jackson, who, if you don't know who Lamar Jackson is, he plays for the Baltimore Ravens.
In the NFL, American football.
Yes, and he wears number 8. You need that context to understand this. He's, or at least was, suing Dale Jr. over the 8, but specifically the Junior Motorsports 8 font, because at the time Dale Jr. was actively trying to get a trademark for this 8 that the team used until this year, and Dale Jr. basically put out a statement they're no longer actively going for the trademark because they got the original trademark that they wanted.
Yeah, so Dale Jr. had been fighting with his father's wife, Dale Sr.'s wife, about the original Dale Earnhardt Enterprises 8, the one that Dale Jr. raced with.
Yes.
And he successfully acquired that. I don't think the Lamar Jackson's personal brand looks anything like the Junior Motorsports 8 either, but it looks more like it than the Ravens logo does, or the Ravens 8 does.
The thing is also, though, even for his brand, he sometimes changes what the 8 looks like. Like, it's not always consistently the same look.
Yeah, it makes me, because I think everybody, including me, is using suing here. What it was he was contesting a trademark application. So Dale Jr. possesses the trademark to the DEI 8. He successfully has acquired that trademark. He's able to use that. He was applying for a trademark for the Junior Motorsports 8, which is what Lamar Jackson was contesting. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Lamar Jackson draw a merch line with the Junior Motorsports 8 on it in the next 6 months, because he probably wanted to get that.
Yeah. But, I had a feeling that the trademark, actively trying to get the trademark for the Junior Motorsports 8 was, no longer going to be a thing, because this year Sammy Smith is running the Dale 8, not the Junior Motorsports 8. If you look at the car, you'll notice that it's different.
Yes.
So I just had a feeling that obviously the trademark had been figured out, and they were no longer going to be actively seeking out the Junior Motorsports 8. So when Dale put out, basically a statement being dude, I don't want this trademark anymore. This 8 doesn't matter to me. I got what I want. I wasn't shocked.
So F1 was in Japan this weekend, and it was another race that I did not wake up for, and I was very glad I didn't, because everybody was absolutely roasting it afterwards, because apparently there was next to 0 on-track action. So, yay for the beauty sleep. And afterwards, I was scrolling through my timeline, and apparently Carlos Sainz, he had some pains in his stomach. He missed the start of the Japanese national anthem, and because of that, he was fined 20,000 euros due to being sick. Apparently, the fine was 60K, but because the doctor was able to confirm that he indeed was having stomach pains and was not being, a naughty boy hiding because he didn't want to show his face. The fine was only 20K, and that to me is the most stupid, unnecessary fine I've ever heard of. That's seriously. So you're not basically allowed to be sick anymore.
But the GPDA is more worried about making fun of George's hair than they are about addressing unnecessary fines in Formula One. So there's that.
Correct.
The GPDA is a vanity thing at this rate. They're just there. We've mentioned this before. They're there to just say, hello, we exist. We have this fancy acronym, and we do nothing else.
Yeah. Apparently the only person who like seems to care about like other drivers' health is Esteban Ocon, because Jack Doohan literally couldn't get out of his car at the end of the race, and like no one was really helping him get out of the car until Esteban walked over, saw Jack couldn't get out of the car, and like helped him get out, and then helped him walk away from the car, like holding on to him, because it was very obvious like Jack couldn't really stand.
That video was painful to watch because there was an Alpine team member like standing there watching Jack like not
Actively
be able to get out
struggling.
of the car and didn't grab on and help him until Esteban came over and grabbed on and helped him.
Yeah. Maybe like care about your drivers. And I feel like this just goes more to the fact of like there's been the talks about how Alpine like doesn't care about Jack, and like they don't want him in the seat, and like actively seeing one of your members of your team personnel noticing your driver is struggling and can't get out of his car, and they're just not helping them at all, really isn't helping the narrative.
Yep. And then Franco Colapinto did a TPC today or yesterday, so like it's a matter of time, and it's if they wanted him in the car, they should have just paid Jack out and canceled his contract, rather than like Jack is obviously so in his head. He felt he had to do this race. He was clearly not medically fit to do this race.
He clearly wasn't, and then he's actively trying things during the race weekend that no one would ever think about doing, because apparently Jack Doohan in a sim was able to use DRS in turn one, like have DRS open in turn one. So he tried it and he crashed. But like he's thinking of all the ways to try to show to Alpine that he deserves the seat, because he's hearing like them talking about getting rid of him, it seems like.
Yeah, it's just such a mess, and I feel real bad for him, because you know what should have been a really exciting first season, like you know you're a rookie in Formula One, you should be able to be proud of yourself, but instead he's like looking over his shoulder at every turn because he thinks he's going to be replaced, because that's all that's been talked about since the beginning of the season. I mean, Flavio straight up said he doesn't want Jack in the seat.
Yeah, and like hearing so many people from your own team saying that about you, like that can't feel great.
No.
He wasn't the only one who used like the sim or iRacing strategies apparently in this race though, and it worked out in Ollie Behrman's case, because Ollie Behrman made it to Q3, and he credited making it to Q3 on the fact that he took the iRacing line.
So awesome. Like, and it just shows the transition that is existing in racing. You know, with it's real obvious with Max, right? Like if he's not in the car racing, he is doing sim work, or he's racing on his sim at home, and all the young kids do that as well. Like, Max is actually one of the older ones that's part of this like iRacing generation of racing drivers, and it really does seem like it is a benefit to these guys, and I think that it's almost going to be a requirement at some point. You know, I mean, I'm gonna shock everybody with what I'm going to say next, but Porsche has said that a huge part of why
Just
Lauren
waiting for
Heinrich
it.
is doing as well
waiting.
as he's doing is his sim racing career.
I was like, I feel like I'm gearing her up to bring up Lauren.
I just was lazy and didn't put it in the notes. But yes, guys with sim careers that run parallel to their physical racing careers are having huge success. So I think you're going to see it more and more.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting because, like, during the broadcast, they were, like, actively talking about Ollie Behrman, like, when they would show him, and how close to the wall he was getting, and how, like, different of a line he was taking, but, like, nobody was actively being like, he's taking the iRacing line. Like, that wasn't a talking point until he, like, in his interview afterwards was like, yeah, I was doing that on purpose because
Yeah.
iRacing.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely do things you'd never consider doing in a real car in iRacing because, okay, so you crash out of the race and you have to reload and you come back in a couple laps down and you're not going to win, whatever. You're not running the risk of like what happened with Jack, where you're facing like an actual crash with massive G-forces. So I think that it's a good low risk way to experiment with stuff. And for Jack it didn't work out, but for Ollie it massively did. Isaac Hadjar and his car had a fight this weekend in qualifying.
And more than a fight.
The car was apparently squishing his private parts region because the seat was moving around and the seat belts were not staying buckled the way they were supposed to.
The seatbelts at first were the problem, and then it seemed like the seatbelts were no longer the problem, but then the seat became the problem.
They talked about this on Off Track once, how painful and impossible it is to drive when your gentleman's region is being constricted by the seatbelts.
I mean,
and
he looked in, like, excruciating pain.
But he outqualified Lewis Hamilton, so
yes.
Good job, Isaac.
Good job, Isaac. Because you looked like you were dying.
I guess.
He's insanely impressive, though. Like, he's the best of the rest, easily. Like, of the non, I guess, championship contenders, if you want to group Ferrari in that. Like, not Max, not Lando and Oscar, and not the Mercedeses.
The Mercedeses.
He is that next guy. And I was not expecting that. I was expecting that to probably be Ollie, if anybody, which Ollie is up there, but, like, because Antonelli's immediately, like, he could win a race this year. You know, he's in a different category as far as the rookies go.
But also, we have to remember, he's in a different category car-wise.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't mean he's in a different category talent-wise. I mean he is in a car that is capable of winning races, whereas I don't believe that the Minardi or the Haas are currently race win capable cars. And yes, I will keep calling it the Minardi. That is the Minardi all season. If you are unaware of what I'm talking about, look up Minardi and then look at what that car is now, or use the context clues that I'm saying Isaac Hadjar's driving it. But you should, if you're unaware of why I'm calling it the Minardi, you should do some F1 history lessons, because I think that that's something everyone should do. You should know the history of your sport.
Yes.
Also, Minardi is the best name. No questions asked.
Especially out of the options we've got of V-Carb, Racing Bulls, RB.
RB. That's the worst option, because everybody in print uses RB to mean Red Bull.
Yeah, I think that's why they went with RB, to confuse people.
Minardi
agenda. Yeah. It's my new agenda.
Yeah.
I've got the Kiffin Simpson agenda, the Lauren Heinrich agenda, and the Minardi agenda.
The Minardi agenda. I am on board.
Yes. Gonna get Dana to make me a shirt. Ask me about the Minardi agenda. Dana, I need that for Coda, but not like Coda that we're all going to. Coda that I'm going to a month and a half later.
Different Coda.
I'm gonna rock Minardi merch. Homemade, Dana-made Minardi merch at the Formula One race.
Yeah.
My dad will probably want one of those too, I bet.
This is making me realize now we technically have 2 agendas that follow the podcast, because we joked about making the Tom Sargent agenda.
Oh, yeah.
And now Tom Sargent
He does actually
us.
follow us.
So now I just realized we do have 2 agendas that follow us.
Yes. PPM, sorry. You don't need an agenda. Everyone
You
knows.
don't.
We won't talk about one of my OG agendas.
We won't talk about one of the OG agendas that kind of started the other agendas.
That one's a secret.
That's a secret agenda.
Secret agenda.
No one needs to know.
My PPM hat on, so.
Yeah, that was, though, to counteract my hat.
That was to counteract your hand shirt. Is that this year's one or a last year's one?
This year's one.
Oh, yeah, no, don't like that. Be gone with those. Actually, that is both a WEC and IMSA one, and I don't dislike them in WEC.
I was gonna say, this one is... Well, you don't dislike a certain one in IMSA either. The 31 still exists.
Yeah, no, the 31 still exists, but the 6 is my car. I'm still debating a little tiny bit.
Are you sure?
Whether the 38 is my car or the 6 is my car. And
what happened to MSR? Do I need to tell Ranger?
Does Ranger listen to the podcast? Does Ranger reply to tweets from the podcast or Instagram posts from the podcast? If Ranger starts doing that, then maybe we can have a conversation. Are we going to play Frisbee with Ranger?
Yeah, but I'm saying, does this mean Ranger's car is not your top car?
Ranger's car is not my top car, but Ranger can still be my favorite IMSA driver.
I am still divided in IMSA between my cars. Yes. Well, you gave me, however, Matt Campbell, but you gave me my 2 duos back at the same time.
Right, so what is more important to you, Cam Jam or Tom and Colin?
Cricket.
I think we know the answer.
I know. Which one listens to the podcast and has interacted with the podcast?
Well, I'm just saying, with how much I talk about plaid car.
Yeah, you do like plaid car.
That should be the gift.
Oh, wait, hold on, I can make plaid car. Damn!
Well, or...
I'm just saying.
Or we could just get...
We could get plaid car, but I'm saying I have plaid car drivers.
Yes, that is plaid car lineup.
That is plaid car lineup.
I'm just saying, or I could just, actively get plaid car that I have in my apartment.
Saying that they should give me Pink Pig and WEC. They're there. They exist. Give them to me.
It's complicated.
Go back to 3-man cars and give me Pink Pig in WEC. Like, not literally Pink Pig. Give me
just the lineup.
PPM 963 with Pink Pig lineup driving it. I need to be clear about what I'm asking for so that we don't, magically demote Larry, Michael, and Kevin to Manti. The scenes.
The scenes. But honestly, I'd be here for it.
I would be so here for it.
I'd be so here for it.
Kevin Estra is the best GT driver ever to exist, so I am so here for him doing anything in GT.
I also just realized, using the fact I have plaid car in my apartment as the reason that Cam Jam is above Tom and Colin is not a great example, because I very much so do have the original 60 from when Tom and Colin...
You don't have art. It's not art. You have a massive plaid car poster.
I'm just saying.
We should just call this episode We Really Like Penske Now. Not to be confused with what we're not calling it, which is Nicole is old like Kevin now. Which I'm not until Friday.
But the episode comes out on Friday.
I know, but we've already called Andre fat. We should not also call Kevin old.
I would like to once again point out, we did not call Andre fat. You did.
I didn't even call him fat. I just said he's a larger human being than Jamie Chadwick, which is factual.
It was the way it was worded.
Yes.
I'm just saying, do
I'm
not
just-
group us into this.
I'm still imagining what would happen if just stuck the boys in Manti next year. That would be so good, but so ridiculous.
Oh, it'd be so ridiculous.
Like, hey guys, you're definitely not doing hypercar anymore. we've got you doing LMGT3.
Sorry,
They'd all
not
have fun
sorry.
with that.
I feel like they would.
I feel like actually you need to at least give 2 more years because you need to give all 3 of them the opportunity to get an overall win at Le Mans
Yeah.
before you start sending them on side quests to do something they've already done, because like Kevin and Michael literally won the GT title that year and won Le Mans that year, so they don't have any reason to do a GT side quest.
But also, GT side quests.
Yes, please, Kevin, do as many GT side quests as possible because they are my favorite.
Now this is reminding me of the conflicts between imps.
I know. You don't want Matt doing things anyways. You're just gonna be sad.
Now I'm sad.
Okay, but Kevin and Grello. Grello. Kevin.
Yeah.
You're like, Grello, Kevin does not make me less sad about Matt.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
Matt'll do Bathurst again next year. You
I
can
was
be
about to
happy
say-
then.
I'll just be happy about Bathurst. we all know that. I talk about Bathurst a lot.
Yeah, and it should be in Grello instead of Skippy. Get rid of Skippy.
But
Skippy's cool,
good.
but Grello's cooler.
Yeah. Wait, awkward
Skippy
combo.
Grello.
Yeah, I was gonna say awkward combo. Okay, give
Skippy
me
Grello.
Skippy.
I mean, I don't see why they couldn't slap a kangaroo on the side of a normal Grello livery.
Exactly. Give it to me.
I'll be back. I have a small Grello poster / poster.
I was gonna say
Imagine.
green and yellow, Australia's color.
Just
It just
imagine that there's a kangaroo on here, right
Yeah.
yonder. Bam,
I was
kangaroo.
gonna say I could get us a kangaroo, but the closest Australian animal I have to get us is an emu.
Yeah, they lost a war to those, so I don't think they want an emu on their car. But yes,
No.
Grello.
Yeah, and like Aries said, it's Australia's colors
It
for
is.
sports and everything. So
It just fit.
it fits.
Manti, we come bearing ideas. Take them.
Give it to me.
Yes, please. Also, Kevin, do Bathurst, please. Potentially in Kangaroo Grello with Matt. Seems like a good idea.
I'd also be here for, let Jam and Matt do Bathurst together again.
Okay, no, I got an idea. IMSA 6, Bathurst, lineup, Kangaroo Grello.
I'll take it.
Wait, I can make that a thing. Lost Jam. There he is.
How do you lose Jam?
He was hiding.
Do you forget to cherish him?
Boom.
It's a-
There we go. Bam. Everybody take my idea and run with it.
I was gonna say, or you could literally just, get the car from when Jam and Matt did do Bathurst and just Photoshop prining out and put Evan in.
Yes, but it's more fun with my little cards, because what's the point of podcast props for our video episode if I don't get to use my podcast props?
Yeah.
Shall we close this out now that we've really caused the listeners to be drunk or hydrated?
Or full of caffeine.
Weren't we supposed to be
Or full
talking
of
about Formula
caffeine.
One? How did we get on to Kevin Estra doing Bathurst from Formula One?
Thanks for listening. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at OrangeBrainPod. On Twitter, Nicole is at Cars on the Street, Austin is at Hendrik Claren, and Aries is at Aries_Alpenglow.
Stay orange.